Hello everybody, this is Tracker Wellington. After uploading 6 of those videos to the different platforms that I upload them to with no sound on any of them, I figured it might be a smart idea to upload one with sound so I can actually explain things to people that might be new to the game, which would be what all of those videos would be directed at. Who all of those videos would be directed at is people that are brand new. Lone Star is level 1, up to I think Lesney Villa is 2, 3. So Lesney Villa is 3, and then comes back over to Mudwater at 4. So Lone Star is where everybody starts. It's where everybody's trying to figure out how the game works. I figured I would do a timed version of this video because I have a tendency to rant on endlessly. Some people get annoyed by it, so I'm going to try to time myself out on this. I'm not going to start the timer until I go to Lone Star. So I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes of fishing. So this video may actually go past 20 minutes, and it's a way for me to test out if you guys prefer videos like this, at least on occasion, so there's a full explanation in the video as to what I'm doing. So this will just kind of be like a free-for-all type video where I'm not actually targeting a particular fish or a particular spot or bait, etc., etc. So I wanted to go over what I'm using. It's in my number 4 slot here. I'm using the Majesty 11.5. That will take quite a while for many of you guys to build up to. What you'll start with will be a telescopic rod. It should be this Telefloat 14.9. This is what you'll start with. It is also a float rod, but it's a hand cast. You can't throw it out like I will be able to do with mine. But you can see over here, it's still a bobber. This would be a lure. This is a spinning reel, and this is a casting reel. So anytime these are green, that's what this rod would be good for. So you can put a spinning reel on here and a bobber, but you can't put a casting reel or a lure. So this is what everybody starts off with in the beginning of the game, just so you're aware of that, and that I'm not using something that small. I'm using whatever level. The match rods is what you're looking for. So float is match and telescope. Match is non-telescopic. So if you go into here and look for the Majesty 11.5, it's level 53. So it's a relatively it's an incredibly overpowering rod for what we're doing here. But for the purpose of the tutorial, it doesn't really matter what rod I'm using. You can copy what I'm doing with any of the float type rods. The technique is what's important. I will explain everything else here. You guys don't even need a leader. I just happen to have it on here because it's part of the how I equip this rod. You won't need a leader at Lone Star. You probably don't even need a leader until you get to Emerald, I believe, up here in New York. So maybe Rocky, but I think Emerald is where you would really first need a leader. That's something that you add on to let the fish bite through so it doesn't snap your line. You'll still lose your hook and I believe your bobber. No, your bobber's above this, so you'll just lose your hook and bait. Whereas if you let them bite through your line, I believe you lose your bobber as well, but I may be wrong about that. It's been a long time. One thing I do here personally is I like to, starting with my backpack, I like to collapse down all my menus so it's a lot less congested. It's a lot less overwhelming. So backpack and home, I collapse down all the menus. And this won't matter here. As soon as we go to Lone Star, it's going to expand all of them again, and I'll have to collapse them again in Lone Star. I probably won't even worry about it while we're there. The Leviathan 10,000 is relatively higher level. So all of these things are going to be higher level. The Blood is relatively low level. So you go to baits. 23. The Blood will be good for catfish, but you can still catch the catfish on lesser baits. You can catch them on cheese, pet food, dough balls, semolina balls probably work better. And if I'm not mistaken, you can catch them on cut bait, small and large cut bait. But we won't worry about those things right now. I think bread with honey as well. But I'm not positive about that. It's been a long time since I had to use these low-level baits to try to catch catfish at Lone Star. I guess we might as well just dive into it, and then I can set my timer so I don't go way overboard on talking too much. You definitely want to get an advanced license. You can see here that I don't have one. It's because it just expired a couple hours ago. So it gives me a chance to show you. You want to make sure this one day is highlighted. It's only $200. You buy that real quick because you won't be able to catch. If you go back into these licenses, you'll have to release all your bass, all your trophy red ear, and your trophy bluegill. So trophy white crappie is the only thing you'd be able to keep that's of any kind of value. Everything else is very low level, like $20-$30 and lower. Some of the fish are only $4. It's really annoying to have to release all of these things, and you can't catch at night either. Bass and catfish definitely bite better at night. So you want this advanced license so you don't have any restrictions and you can fish at night. That is very important. It is absolutely worth the $200 every single time. It's probably worth the bait coins to purchase. We would have seen it before if I would have thought about it, but it's probably worth the bait coins to just purchase a permanent license. I don't know why that's spun. Got it zoomed in a little bit here. So let's go ahead and travel. The travel cost for Lone Star is always $0 because it's the first level and people always have to go back to it when they run out of money. That'll happen a couple of times. Even if you try to avoid it by maybe fishing, or you'll spend too much money and then you won't have enough money to go back to the next level. You won't have any travel cost or a license cost. So you'll have to come back here, and only as long as you have $200 you can buy the license to be able to catch everything here. So let's go to Lone Star. It's obviously there's a warning here telling us that there's no boats allowed, but that's always been key, and the waterway is so small you don't really need a boat for here. You can pretty much reach all across the entire waterway from casting from one side to the other. So this side you can cast out to here, and this side you can cast out to here. So you can cover the whole waterway from the shores. And this is obviously even smaller back here. I'll explain these little locations inside of Lone Star where we are now. This is the home sweet home location where everybody starts, and I believe you do a tutorial here in the water right down from the path. And I do remember something over here as well, which is where you'll see me fish quite a bit. I plan on running around the whole waterway rather than just, you saw the first videos that I had done on the channel here. They were all from the swampy exploration point because I was fishing right here to show everybody you can catch all the panfish from this one location, but you can also catch those panfish from down here. For example, over here where the catfish and the smallmouth buffalo are, I was able to catch a golden shiner, which looks like a minnow, on a number 10 hook with bread at 80 inches down. That's 80. So you can pretty much catch all those panfish anywhere around here. The bass are probably limited to the center. As far as how far they spread out, you'd have to investigate. But down the center way here, you can catch a lot of the bass. They tend to get around the lily pads a little bit, but that would be more for lure. You can catch them on night crawlers and small minnows and probably red worms, but it's a lot harder on red worms. But I usually just throw a lure out here and then just drag it back to the bridge. But we'll see that as I wander around here. I'll keep switching back and forth to my with my equipment here. I always switch to a private room because of the people that like running around trolling. They like standing in front of you just to be in the way. So I just avoid all that stuff so I can focus on what it is, what the purpose of the video is. I can also do club rooms as well, but most of my club mates it's very hard for me to catch them online when I'm online. So I usually just do private room stuff. This swampy exploration is obviously the second one. We've seen a lot of this in those first videos I did, and then Dam Road. I tried to do one from here, but I ended up not catching any of the smallmouth or cats. I kept catching the panfish, so I figured this might be a better way for me to just kind of wander around for 10 minutes. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes I'm going to wander around everywhere and see what I can catch in a 10-minute period of time, just to give you guys a good overview. When I get into the waterway here, when I go fishing, I'm going to change this time to closer to the peak. You want to basically fish this part right here. You can fish all of it, but you're going to be waiting around a little while, quite a bit longer here for fish to bite than you are here. They'll pretty much bang 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 as soon as you hit the water. It takes usually 10 to 15 seconds or less for them to bite here, but it could take 30 seconds to a minute, maybe even a minute and a half, depending on what you're fishing for, what time. We'll get into all those details later. I just want to do a brief overview here to see if this style of video is better for some people to understand the video with sound. I was hesitant to use sound because my microphone is garbage. It's not a very good microphone, and you guys are you're gonna hear me hitting keys, and I didn't want to do that. And I also don't want to do a voiceover because I can never time the voiceover out properly to what I'm doing in the video. I always end up ranting too long, like I am now. So we'll try it this way and see if this helps out. Let's go fishing. I think I went to Dam Road first, so I'm going to start the timer, and I'm going to fish for 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. Down here, I'm going to talk in between to try to do both. I don't care so much for chatting, so if you bring this up, if you hit Control on your keyboard, this is obviously all PC stuff. This is not Xbox or PlayStation. If you hit Control, you can get your cursor to show up, and it always shows up in the middle, right here. Always shows up there. So if you bring it over here and let go, it shows back up in the middle. This is how you highlight the chat box, but I don't prefer the chat box being up, especially if I'm making a video. So if you hit the button to the left of the number 1 on your keyboard, I was taught that this key is called the Enye key, the little wavy line, and then a backwards apostrophe. It's right below the escape key, to the left of the 1 key, and just above the tab key. If you hit that button right there, that'll take the whole chat box off of there. If you hit that same button a second time, it takes all of the text off of the screen, everything that's on it. It takes it all off. But when you catch a fish, it doesn't bring your lines that are over here, your energy lines. I keep forgetting what they call it. It doesn't bring those back up. So you have to hit it a third time to get everything to come back up, and then hit it again to get rid of the chat box, if you want to. Some people may want to chat more than they fish. So for Dam Road, really the best place to go for this position is down here where the catfish are. You'll see my markers, and I'll try to show you guys those markers so you have the coordinates, and you can also see what baits I caught them on. When I come down here, you can see my 2 markers right there. I would say disregard the other marker that's to the left. I always come down to this fence post right here where this board is not equal. They're not even. And then I go to the center of that section. And when you throw out here, you want to throw out, I'm using blood, but I should change it. So if you hit Z on your keyboard and hold it down, you can use your mouse wheel to scroll through your baits. Araku minnows are the first ones alphabetically in the order of my baits in my bag. I'll scroll through these real quick and see if I can figure out. We're going to try that cut bait idea that I was suggesting earlier. Where is it? Medium, small. I'm going to try small cut bait. Let's try that, and we're going to adjust the depth by using the letters O or P. So P will go deeper, O comes back to the shallowest of 12 inches. We're going to go down to, let's say, 70 inches. We'll try that out. I actually almost forgot. Press T on the keyboard for time. I will change it to, I'll change it to here because that's kind of high enough. And you know what, if I'm only going to do it for 10 minutes, I'm going to jump up a little bit. So that gives me at least hour and, what is that, 5 hours? A 5-hour range. The game clock runs at 4 times faster than normal, so every one of these is an hour in the game. It's 15 minutes in real life. So 4 of these would be an hour. So that's an hour and 15 minutes of time that I would get to fish. And what I'll do is after I'm done recording this, I'll come back and finish this peak out. It doesn't really hurt to change days because it always starts over at the beginning and I just jump up. In all the other levels after Lone Star, there will be a penalty for changing the time. However far you advance it, every section adds time to how long it can be until you can change time again. So when you jump up, you need to make sure that you're in the right position that you want to be in for any lengthy period of time. If I'm not mistaken, it's 2 or 2.5 hours if you want to skip all the way from here to the end to the next day. I think it's a 2-hour waiting period for the other levels, but on level 1 it doesn't have that, so we don't have to worry about that here. So I will hit forward time. That will give me in peak. I will hit the right click the mouse to get your target up, the blue target, and then left click to cancel. I always throw past these markers because it's such a long depth. It takes a while for it to sink, and I always pull it back. I know from looking at the map previously and setting those markers myself, I know that those markers are on the far edge of that depth circle where the fish bite, the smallmouth buffalo and the catfish bite the most often. I should have changed the hook size. It looks like I might even have something on there now. That bobber's bobbing. The bobber I'm talking about is here, your guide. I should have changed this to a bigger hook, but you can't get really too much bigger than a 2-aught hook. The number 2/0. Anything with a /0 is called an aught, so 2-aught, 4-aught, 6-aught, 8-aught. Actually, no, they go by single numbers. The smaller hooks like this, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, they go by 2s up until you get to the 1. Then it switches over to 1-aught all the way up through 10-aught until you get to the ocean levels, and then you can get bigger hooks. To zoom in on your keyboard, just hit Z. When your line is cast out, you can hit Z. Obviously, I just hit Z to switch my baits. Up here in the corner, you saw the little angle line. We can hear the ding there. That's another reason I wanted to have audio. You can either zoom out before it takes it down, or as soon as you hit your strike key, it'll automatically zoom out. So there it is. It's shaking. It's bringing something. It looks like a catfish. So I was right. The small cut bait worked, and it even worked on a number 10 hook. So that's the smallest hook you'll have. You won't even get it at level 1. You have to wait a couple levels to be able to buy it. The number 8 is what you'll have. But you can catch these, I'm sure, up until at least a number 1. So you'll be able to catch them on a number 8. This worked out well. I like that that I finally caught a cat. So we know the small cut bait works. Let's see if something else lesser than small cut bait works. We're going to try red worms. Oh, they're at the bottom. I can go this way to go to the bottom. Red worms, there they are. Let's see how this works. Again, we throw it past the marker, and then we drag it just in front of the marker and let it fall down. So we know how deep the catfish are. That was at 70 inches. So now we know we can catch catfish with small cut bait on a number 10 hook at 70 inches down. In this spot, obviously. This is the deepest spot on the map, I believe. The dead center, probably right where my bobber is. It's not quite as deep on the edge there where I have those markers. I'll show you the map here. You'll see there's a really small dark blue circle in the middle of this. I try to drag the bobber over the top of it to give me the best shot. I apologize for being a little snivelly. My daughter was so kind as to give me her cold. It doesn't affect me as much as it does her, but it still gives me the snivels, and that's pretty annoying when you're recording videos. So I'm swigging on some hot tea every once in a while to keep my mouth moist to talk, and the heat helps with the sore throat from the drainage, as everyone knows. I may have pulled this one in a little too close, and I also am using red worms. That's not going to bite as well as the cut bait will. I only have 2 minutes left on my timer. That wasn't a great idea. Looks like it takes more time. Let's switch to. I'll switch over to here, and I want to show you guys to use red worms, shop, baits. I want to see what the baits are for this level. Cheese, pearl barley, dough. You can't really catch anything with pearl barley here. Let's switch over to dough balls and see what panfish we can catch. So we need to hit O to change our depth back to 12. We'll go to 20 inches now, because all those previous videos show you a bunch of 12-inch stuff. So let's go to 20, and we'll still fish in this same super hot area that has most of the panfish, and doing it with dough balls. Oh, come on, dough balls, where are you? Getting closer. There we go. We'll try dough balls here and see if we can pull out a trophy maybe. Hit Z to zoom in, and you can hold down Z while you're zoomed in to roll your mouse wheel back and forth, or up and down, forward and backward. You can zoom in and out, change your depth, so you're not feeling like you're on top of the bobber. Or you can just zoom out, catch like this. Remember to always keep your line a little, keep some tension on your line here. You don't want it to be too loose, or when you try to strike it, it won't work. What do we get here? Dough balls, number 10, we got a green sunfish. You see that's not a very high dollar amount, even lower XP. That is our alarm. So I may cheat a little bit here and throw it out again, but that at least gives me an idea of how much time I've been standing here rambling. I'm sure this video is probably a 20-minute video now from all the stuff I did before the timer started. So now we know we can catch green sunfish at 20 inches down on a number 10 hook with dough balls. So all of this stuff, or everything we're seeing is data points, so you guys can always soak in those data points by rewatching the video, or I even jot stuff down on pencil and paper, with pencil and paper. I'll take a bunch of notes. From my experience, I can tell you guys can catch all of the panfish from using a number 10 all the way up to, I believe, a number 4, and then I think there's a couple you can catch on a number 2, maybe just the trophies on a number 1, and I don't think you can catch any of them on a 1/0, but I may be wrong about that. That's just the panfish. That's the smaller fish. Anything other than bass, catfish, and smallmouth buffalo. We'll see if we can pull anything out on this one, and I may, now that I've made this video, I may decide to do another video that would be a continuation of this, but I won't have to explain all of the things I've already explained. There we go with another one. Is it a bluegill? It is. So we can catch a regular bluegill on a number 10 hook with dough balls 20 inches down. Alright, I'm going to cut this video off just so it's not so long for people. I'll post it. We'll see how you guys respond to it. Obviously, feel free to put comments down in the comment section, so that way we can start the conversation. I have no problem whatsoever answering people's questions. That's kind of what I did this for, is I have knowledge of how to play the game, and a lot of people don't, so I'm one of those people that likes to pass that knowledge on. So feel free to start chattering in the comments, and I will be more than happy to respond to those as soon as I have the ability, as soon as I see it basically, and have time to respond to it. I will make sure to do that. If somebody has a question that may be asked by a bunch of people, a common question, or a detailed enough question that I think it's important enough, I may just do a video response for it instead of I'll comment as well, and then do a video for it as well to demonstrate visually, so that way it may help people more. So that'll be it for this one. You guys have fun, get out there and get fishing, and I'll try to make some more videos for you. See you guys.